Oh, that's very that's very fancy. Well, hi everybody. This is so exciting. I wish that all of you, some of you can, because you're close enough to me that you could like fit in my living room and we could all like snuggle, but you're not probably supposed to snuggle because of Corona. But I miss everybody. I miss seeing people. I had one workshop this week that was in person and I was like, hi everybody. And I wanted to snuggle everybody and touch everybody and they were, but I couldn't. So that stinks. Boo. So we're going to get started. We're going to talk about relationships. So a lot of you know, many of you know, that I am love-based. I am loud, right? My hashtag is Be Loud for Love. And be loud for love always, all the time, even when you don't want to be. And the hard thing is that we are told to do a lot of fear-based strategies. We are taught a lot of fear-based strategies, either in the school we go to be a teacher or in the school that we are teaching at. Sometimes that has come down. And we can't keep doing that because those strategies actually hurt relationships. And so I get all the time, what do you do instead? So you don't use, I get some people that are grumpy that like, yeah, I know, don't use those. But what am I supposed to do instead? Well, that's an 8-hour answer. I'm giving you part of the 8 hours right now, right? My masterclass is 8 hours. Why? Because there's 8 parts to shuffling, right? I'm going to ruffle your feathers and then I'm going to shuffle you. And relationships is one of the parts. So people are like, oh, why don't you just tell us? Well, because I can't tell you. People want me to, I don't know if they want a Pinterest strategy. I think they want a different Pinterest strategy that they're not already using. So if you are going to Pinterest and you are searching behavior management, classroom management, you're doing it wrong. It's not, behavior's not a Pinterest thing because it's not a game. Unfortunately, we have to play a lot of behavior games, right? There's points and tickets and tokens and stickers and assemblies. You know that if you get enough tickets or points, you get to go to an assembly. And if you don't, you have to stay back. You guys just cry? Imagine. Oh my gosh, that's so terrible. And then you think, I have to keep you back. You can't go to the assembly. How do you think our relationship's going to go? Even if you were my favorite teacher, you're not my favorite teacher anymore. So we got to figure out how to move from fear to love. One of the pieces is relationships. It is your best behavior strategy because there is something called the power of one. It only takes one person to change a child's life, one caring, empathetic, loving, kind person to change a child's life. And we have the ability to influence 10,000 people. So some people like, I don't know, this kid drives me crazy. I can't form a relationship with them. I give up. I just can't do it. So how many people, if you don't get that one, are you missing? 2 million. So it goes to their 10,000, right? You're missing that kid's 10,000. And then it exponentially goes to 2 million people. So if you have a poor relationship or you're not doing the things you need to do to form a good relationship, and some of it is that we don't know what we don't know, then we're missing 2 million people. And who wants to do that? As a teacher, I feel like, oh my gosh, I certainly don't want to do that, right? I'm teaching and I want to make a difference. And if you're a parent, you're like, well, I don't want to miss my own kid, right? I don't want that to be the problem. So how do we move from one to the other? How do we move from fear to love? Well, first we have to look at what stresses kids out. What stresses them out? So what stresses them out is a stressful environment. And there is an interpersonal piece to the environment, right? It's the relationship piece is in the environment. That's one of the 4 aspects. We're going to go over that in a minute. But that stresses kids out. Safety, physical and emotional. We're going to get to that as well because that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That stresses kids out. What else stresses them out? Personality traits. So I don't know if my personality stresses me out. It stresses my husband out. Because I talk too much and I'm like, all bonkers and crazy. And sometimes I think he's like, he now like tucks me under his arm and kisses my head. That's the shut up, honey, you're too loud. But that's what we figured out works. So personality traits. So like, are you perfectionistic? Are you a determined kid and you want to be first, best, fastest? Are you interactive and you want attention and you're not getting enough? Are you a people pleaser, but the teacher keeps yelling? Those personality traits stress a kid out big time. What else stresses kids out? Relationships with friends and with teachers. Kids know when you don't like them. Kids know that you've put them in the bad kid bubble and they're going around the classroom. Only adults put kids in the bad kid bubble. And then kids find out what to say based on the parents. I'm freezing for a minute. Oh, okay. Someone chatted. I didn't want to miss anything. So, and then sometimes those personality traits with friends are hard, right? So that direct dominant kid always picks the sweet, sensitive people pleaser kid because they'll just do everything. So you got to figure out that relationship. And then what happens if you have the direct dominant kid and you're that sweet, sensitive, people pleasing adult, right? It's that mismatch of temperament, which is tricky. And then unmet needs. So unmet needs are, we're going to talk about those too. Love languages, first hour needs. Contrast the profile. So me being with that quiet people pleaser temperament, I could be too much for them. And then you know what God did to me? Gave me that kid. I have that kid as my own kid. And I was like, oh, funny joke, God. I don't know about you. Jokester. Right? So then we look at why are relationships important? People are like, okay, I do relationships. And then people, I get a lot of specials teachers say, well, right, I know Leanne's on here. I can't see her, but she's on here. And she's a music teacher. She's my favorite music teacher in history. And she doesn't ever say this, but a lot of special teachers say like, well, but I'm a gym teacher, or I'm a music teacher, and I don't have the kids enough time to form relationships. And I argue that you do. The hard thing is maybe you just don't know how to do it appropriately and quickly, right? So, sorry, I'm trying to move. Why are relationships important? So this is my masterclass right here. It starts at the top and goes to the bottom, where a lot of times it starts at the bottom and goes to the top, because sometimes I flip it just to make it interesting. So the first piece with relationships is, who am I? Who am I? I have to know when I approach people, am I overwhelming them? Some of you will laugh that know me, that know Emily knows, that for 37 and a half years, I did not know I was intense. Currently, everybody's laughing on my screen because I've been talking for 10 minutes. How many people know I'm intense? Yeah, yep. I didn't know. I thought I was being friendly for 37 and a half years. So I had to figure out, oh, and I'm intense and I'm chop, do it fast. Let's go. So I taught kindergarten in a childcare setting for 10 years. And for about 8 of those years, I used to race kids to get dressed to go outside. The kids like me raced and went outside. The kids not like me were left inside like this with nothing on in total panic because I excited their anxiety. And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it. But I didn't know. So I had about 250 kids over my teaching career. And I thought, I have to call about 175 of those kids.
Very aggressive.
Oh, we'll mute that. And so I have to call about 175 kids and be like, hi, it's Meg. I'm really sorry I overwhelmed you. I didn't mean it, right? But it's the who am I piece, right? And there's a profile assessment that I have taken 20 times. And on the 20th time, I came out direct dominant, intense. And I was like, oh, there we go. And know that I've done this job for 9 years. So for the first 19 times, I thought I was interactive, imaginative, impulsive, obviously, sweet, sensitive, and people-pleasing. People are like, I think you missed a part. You missed the part that's big in me, but I always thought it was the friendly part, where some people are like, yes, and other people like, I had a woman one time, it was a small group, so I was here, and they were like in a little like horseshoe semicircle. And she's like, I gotta go home and have a drink of wine. I was like, yeah, I get it. She goes, no, you are a lot. I made her have to go home and drink because I was too much for her. And I was like, oh, do I apologize for that? I was like, sorry, I just try to make it fun, because if it's not fun, right? Nobody wants to sit here for an hour on your own time. And it'd be boring. We've been to those, right? And so I overwhelmed her big time. So we have to do the who am I part. And that has to happen. So when people are like, I need to figure this kid out. Okay, back it up. Find out who you are. If you're interested in the profile assessment, email me after, and I will tell you all about how to do it. It's $12.95, and it is amazing and awesome and wonderful. And it is something I swear by. And there's also a kid version, so you can do it with the kids, and then you can figure out that mismatch of temperament. So who is this child? So that's the temperament piece in filling toolboxes. So every temperament, there's 4 of them. Of course, there's a mix, but every temperament has a toolbox. So if you were to sell a boat to me and you were to sell a boat to my husband, you cannot use the same strategies, because one of us is not buying. You have to tell my husband all the research, the horsepower, how safe it is, the engines, oh gosh, I don't even know if it's an inboard or an outboard. I own a boat and I can barely talk about it. All that stuff. What do you have to tell me? I want it to be blue or green. And I am officially the first pretty mermaid on the boat. Not first mate, not captain. I am the first pretty mermaid. That's all. That's what I want to be. So you have to say how beautiful it is, what color it is, and how awesome I'm going to look. That doesn't mean anything to my husband. So we have to know who this child is. Who are they? How do they learn? What drives them? If we don't know that, then we're going to have a really hard time. The hard thing is who is this child? We use these stickers, tokens, tickets, points for the kids that are direct dominant. Tell you where to stick it. Want to be first, best, fastest, or determined. That is the kid you do not want any of those external rewards in their toolbox. But we use them all the time because we don't know who the child is. We're just trying to make it fun, fast, and easy. Let's do it. I just thought today, I was like, you know what? We want kids to delay gratification. Yet behavior-wise, adults never delay gratification. We want to teach one strategy. We want to do it, and we want to do it right now, and we want it to work. Fortunately, that's not how it goes. So we have to be patient, right time and patience. 98% of the time, a challenging behavior is a lack of skill, an unmet need, and we have to use our 2 best friends of time and patience. And it doesn't get easier than that. I can't Pinterest a strategy. I did not go to Pinterest and pull a strategy and then keep it and then charge for it. I think people think I did that. I don't go to Pinterest. That's for feng shui, your classroom, and how to like use your mason jars from your wedding. Like I have 15 mason jars. What do I do with those? They tell you how to paint them and decorate them and make them beautiful. Make them vases. I don't know. That's what Pinterest is for. Relationships is the third thing in my masterclass, but also the third thing in figuring out how people work well together. Oh, I was so sorry about the outburst. I thought, oh, don't worry. Someone's apologizing for the outburst. Oh, you don't ever have to apologize me for, I was just saving you in case. Sometimes I don't mute people when they first come in and then they say swear words. And this is recorded and then it's going to go to other people that weren't here. So I just didn't want anybody to say any. I had a dad come in one time in the room and use the F word. And I was like, oh, bummer. I don't know how to beep out that in Zoom. Nuts. So relationships is figuring out, right? It's the who am I and the who is this child like this. Now we're going to figure out how to do it together, right? So the next part is environments, what we talked about. So environment has 4 aspects. A lot of people, when they think of environment, they think, oh, what color am I going to paint my walls? How am I going to organize my furniture? And that's part of it. That's the physical piece. There's the interpersonal piece that plays off the environment. There is the programmatic piece, the curriculum. So do I teach the way kids learn? And philosophical. So the philosophical piece to the environment that I taught in is that we're absolutely not doing any clip down systems or tokens or tickets. Whew, that was rough. Stickers. I'm not doing any of those things. Philosophically, I'm not on board with that. And I am trying to make nobody be on board with that. I have to be really loud though. I used to be very polite. And if you saw the things way back that I used to share, it was very polite and gentle. And then I just said the heck with that. And I threw that piece away. And then now I'm just loud about it. So then we go into, right, differentiation of instruction, which is a play off the programmatic environment. So are we teaching the way kids learn? When I taught kindergarten, I never gave kids worksheets because I don't do well with worksheets. I think they're boring. There's a right and a wrong answer, and I want to be able to write essays or do a project or be in groups. And then I realized we had all worked recycled paper, and the kids that wanted the worksheets would take the recycled paper and flip it over, and they'd take a highlighter and they'd highlight stuff and draw around. And I was like, oh, they want worksheets. Oh man, this kid's gonna learn great. They're gonna learn literacy through worksheets. And I thought that was a terrible way to learn because I don't learn that way. But then there are some times that all there is worksheets. And what happened to the tactile or bodily kinesthetic kids? They have to move and move to learn. I have this right here, right? Anybody have a fidget with them? And it's kind of loud, so I don't use it, and now I can't put it down. Anybody, when only some are popped, hold on, I have to pop them all right the same way. Anybody agree with me? I can't have some popped and some not popped. That's all I would think about the rest of the time. So teaching and learning styles is important. Discipline. So that I talked to a family about that today. So natural and logical consequences. Logical consequences have to be related, respectful, and reasonable, right? You can't take technology away for everything. So related, respectful, and reasonable. And natural consequences turn into logical consequences when safety is an issue. When I don't wear my coat, it's cold outside. When I don't eat dinner, I'm hungry. When I cross the street without looking both ways, I get hit by a car. That's where the logical consequences have to come into play. And they're related, respectful, and reasonable. And then the last one is, ooh, man, I've done all this stuff. I've done a really good job with it. And I think I need a team to help me help this kid to their fullest potential, right? So that is my masterclass. You can find me after if you're interested in diving in. This is just one of the pieces of my masterclass. So who has to adjust and what are we adjusting? So who's adjusting? The kids or us? We are. We have the education and experience. Some of you I know, because I know you hang out with really little kids. You can't think a 3-year-old that has been on this earth 36 months is going to be like, you know what? Yeah, she wants to be first, best, fastest. She's a determined lady. I think I'm gonna. That's not a thing, right? 3-year-olds are so egocentric. They grow out of that. Some of them grow out of that at about 6. And we know adults that still are working on growing out of it. So when you see these asterisks, stars at the end, it means that there's a workshop that is attached to it. So the mismatch of temperament, that's my challenging behavior workshop. So we are adjusting and we have to figure out the mismatch of temperament and then we have to adjust to it. So I should not have raced all the kids getting ready, but I didn't know what I know now then, right? I didn't know what I didn't know, and that's okay. So when people ask me, what do I do instead? I say, I assume you don't know what you don't know, and now you need new information. And all my workshops are trying to give you new information. So first hour needs is a big thing. So a little girl, she went to a new class. Actually, I'll see her tomorrow. She's the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life. And she went into a new class, and her mom's like, I don't know what happened. She used to go to school fine, and now the tantrums to go into class are unbelievable. And I said, here, look at these first hour needs. Which one is she? It's the one that needs a plan. And I said, so we're going to tell the teacher, what are you doing in the class? She's going to come out and say, hey, Gwen, you know what? This is what we're doing. There's so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so in there doing slime, and these kids are playing dramatic play. What do you think you want to play with? And Gwen went, whoop, and then just walked right in. The mom's like, what? That was the magic button? I was like, yeah, because she's in a new classroom, has no idea. Some of these kids are new. She has no idea what to expect, and that was so hard for her. So that's a workshop. Love languages. I had a kindergarten teacher that I worked with. So I wasn't a kindergarten teacher. She was. And there was a little girl who, this kindergarten teacher was not touched by love language. So she didn't ever want to like hug the kids or have them sit on her lap. And she was like, oh, that just feels uncomfortable to me. And I was like, well, some kids need that. So you're going to have to adjust as best you can. So I guess this little girl, we'll call her Sophia. I don't remember what her name was. And she did something. So the teacher went up and said, way to go, Sophia, and kind of gave her a side hug. And Sophia went like this. And the teacher goes, why are you giving me that face? She goes, oh, I didn't know you did that now. Right? Like, oh. And the teacher said, well, I know that you like hugs. She goes, I do. I just didn't know you did it now. Like, and in Sophia's head, she thought, I wonder where she got that. Huh. Right? The teacher got new information. So she tried it and she's like, it was amazing. The relationship was like this. And then it went like this. It was so much better because she understood love language wise about kids. And that's also a workshop. So how do we learn and where am I smart? That's my diverse learners workshop. That one's important. So if you are a teacher who always gives worksheets or never gives worksheets, but you either do or don't learn in worksheets and they're not given or they are given, the relationship can hurt big time. And that's something that's easily fixed. I realize now you have to go home and boost your curriculum. I get that. Am I visible, valued, and supported? That has to be a thing. Can kids speak up? Do they have a voice? Someone shared a comment today that said, I didn't know where else to leave this, but I'm going to leave this here. And I'm so glad she left it with me, is that the little girl didn't like the PBIS system with the tickets and tokens and points and stuff. And she went up and told the teacher, she's neurodivergent. And she went up to the teacher and says, I don't like this system because it makes me feel not good enough. And I wish that you didn't do it with me. And I was like, yes, you tell her, girl, you tell her. And I think the teacher reacted appropriately, but if you're visible, valued, and supported, you can raise your hand and be like, this is not working for me. This makes me feel like crud, and I do not like it. And then the teacher will appropriately flip and shuffle. What does the schedule look like? I need a plan. Kids don't really care about our schedules. We can only go outside at 9:30. The kids like 8:30 would be better. 8:30 to 9:30 is good. Is that awesome? And how is the environment set up and am I taken into account? That's my environment workshop. Is I'm a kid who moves. I know at Sue's school there, do you still have the monkey bars, Sue? Just give a thumbs up. Yeah, she has monkey bars inside. I walked in the very first time I walked in, I was like, no way. They're bright yellow monkey bars inside the classroom. And I thought, whoo, talk about bodily kinesthetic, hot diggity dog. It was awesome. It made me so excited. So why again are relationships important? Maslow's hierarchy of needs shows us that they are. So those first four periwinkle, I think the purple, it's probably periwinkle tiers are deficiency needs. So without those four needs, you are in a deficit. They're authentic. They're also called authentic needs, which means you need them in your life authentically because you were born human. And if you teach humans, you better have those and you better be thinking of them. So physiological needs is the first one. That's eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom. It comes around again if you were a teacher of older kids, right? 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and puberty and sex starts to be in your brain. You go, those kids, right? When they're like, oh my gosh, their learning dipped way down. Yeah, because they dropped all the way back to physiological needs because they're like, whoa, what's happening with my body? And I'm having these thoughts and my body's changing and I don't know what to do with it. Then we have safety needs, not only physical safety needs, but emotional safety needs. See how it's number 2? That's why we don't ever use fear-based strategies for that reason. We can't mess with kids' emotional safety and we'll see why, because when we get to the relationship piece, we'll see why. And then social and belonging needs. So that is environments and relationships. Kids will put belonging to an environment and belonging to a relationship first, before physiological needs. I did it in college all the time. I should probably go to sleep and eat dinner and go to bed so I can get up and go to class in the morning. You know what lost every time? Sleep and eating. I went out. And if I'm out and I'm like, I should go home, but these peeps are fun, I just stayed all the time, every time. I would go to my class like so tired. And I was like, I should have chose sleep. But I had so much fun because I felt like I belonged. And kids will do that. My son does it right now in eating lunch. I said, dude, you didn't eat anything. He goes, I know, mommy. I just kept talking. Wonder where he gets that from. Probably my husband. He just talks and talks and talks and talks because he's with kids he likes. He's with his friends. He's belonging. It's awesome. And then he's starving. And I was like, yeah, it's a natural consequence, bud. You're hungry after, right? He's like, yeah, kind of. And he gets grumpy in the car because he hasn't eaten. And I was like, you got to, but he can't because the belonging is so important. And I totally get it. I get it because I was like that as well. So it's the third tier. And relationships and environments have to be empowering. If they're disempowering, either one or both, you get stuck there. You just cycle through. And then if your physiological needs are not taken care of, if your safety needs are not taken care of, or you use a strategy that is fear-based, and you have disempowering environments, you're in a disempowering environment and have disempowering relationships, how's your esteem needs and your self-worth? And you can't learn when your self-worth is like this, because what's happening? You stay in the periwinkle needs. You don't go to your growth needs. Look at the first growth need. Cognitive needs, pursuit of knowledge and understanding. That's, I want to learn about math and science and biology and chemistry. I don't want to learn about either of those things. History, reading. I want to do all that. I want to soak it up. It's hard to soak up when you're stuck in the periwinkle needs. And sometimes you get stuck there, right? Like you're like, whoops, I dipped down. Whoop, right? Like 8th graders kind of dip back down to physiological needs because they're figuring that stuff out. If you're doing fear-based strategies, you're staying in that second one. So now I'm totally hyper-focused on this fear because my emotional needs are at stake here. My emotional safety is at stake. But they want to teach me, I have to go to the reading table and read with the teacher. But what if I mess up? My son goes to private school because I was afraid he was going to be like that. Because he feels for himself as he feels for everybody. And I thought, oh man. So I showed him that clip down system. And I said, bud, that's why you go to building blocks, is because the school in my district has that. And I was like, and you're not going to do that because I know that if John clipped down, you would feel so sad for John and you wouldn't be able to focus on learning. He goes, well, yeah, I'd take it further, mommy. I wouldn't just feel sad for John. I would also do something that would get me in trouble to get clipped down. I was like, what? I did not know that was going to be a thing because he's a people pleaser. So I didn't think he'd do that. He's like, well, then he wouldn't be lonely and we both go to the principal's office and I would make him feel better. Great. Glad I sent you to a school without one of those things. Holy moly. And I didn't know that going in. I just thought that he has a tendency to be more anxious than me. So I thought he would just be like, oh my gosh, I have to make sure I'm perfect and make sure that I don't do anything wrong. And then I can't do anything because I'm so focused on that. Right. So we have to make sure that those authentic or deficit needs are taken care of as best we can. And sometimes they're not taken care of at home. So we have to take care of them at school. I see a lot of, well, if parents would just do their jobs. Well, I would like that too. But I think it's easier for us to know this information and do what we can than to fight the parents and have, right? Parents and teachers should be like this, but a lot of times it's like this, right? And I get that a lot. And I always have to take a deep breath because I think parents are doing the best they can. And sometimes they don't know what they don't know, just as the teachers are doing the best we can. And sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And that's all right. So I talked about the self-reflection piece, which is important. Oh, there we go. So we self-reflect and know yourself. So in this, I'm putting this on my keyboard. I hope it doesn't like, oh, I better not do that. That'll like, right? Imagine, and then everything like, pew, all of you go away. Oh, that makes me like, it was sweaty thinking about that. So we want to be in the arena of open communication all the time. But sometimes we're in blind spots, sometimes we're in the mask, and sometimes we're in potential. So the arena is I know and you know. So if you came, so I know like Sarah and Patty and Christine and Sue and oh man, there's a lot of you, Leanne, like came because they knew this was going to be, I always tell people, I was like, it's a lot of good information, but it's also funny and fun. And you don't have to be like, is it done yet? Oh my goodness. So you know and I know that it's going to be interesting and funny and fun and wonderful. You know that I'm going to talk a lot. I mean, I have a job that I talk a lot, and that's pretty good for me. You know that I'm going to tell a lot of stories. A lot of people know the information because they relate it back to the stories I tell. Then we get into blind spots and self-discovery. So you know and I don't know. So you knew, a lot of you knew before I knew, right? So I knew Sarah before I was 37 and a half. So I thought I was friendly. She knew I was intense. I didn't know at that point yet. I didn't know yet. Brendan was still little. And my co-teacher in kindergarten is the one that told me that Brendan was intense just like me. And I said, do you think I'm intense? She goes, do you think you're not intense? And I was like, no, thought I was fun and friendly. And she was like, not always. Oh, thanks. but it's been probably one of the best messages I've been given because it's by somebody that loves me. So I was like, okay. And I went to a workshop that night and I said, how many people find me intense? There was like 80 people there and like 72 of them were like, kind of raised their hand like, I do, please don't call on me. And I was like, oh. So then I asked my mom, I said, Mom, do you think I'm intense? She's like, no. And I was like, I know, right? See, I knew I wasn't intense. And then I asked my husband and he goes, yes. I said, what? I said, I asked my mom and she said I wasn't intense. He goes, your mom is more intense than you are. And I was like, oh, darn it. I asked the wrong person first. So I also didn't know that I was intimidating. People find me intimidating. Some people are like, oh my gosh, it's, I don't know if they're afraid like I'm going to embarrass them or if I'm going to, I embarrass myself. So, but I've been known to be intimidating. I'm still working on figuring that piece out. Because I always say, I still think fart and poop jokes are funny. Still. At 43, I still find them hysterical. If you have good ones, please email me them later because I will tell them on my next workshop. But I'm like, right. And I love the little boys that talk about, like, if I go in a classroom and they're talking about poop and farts, I was like, oh, those are my people. And I sit with the little boys and I'm like, what are we talking about? Is it poop? I love to talk about poop. And then I'm like, I don't know how I flip that and I become intimidating, but it happens. So I'm still working on that piece. So self-esteem is affected when others call you out on it, right? So it's something you know and I don't know. Now you have to like figure out how to tell me. So I'm figuring out how to tell teachers that use fear-based strategies how to shuffle and not use them anymore, even if they use them positively or they think their kids love them. No, it's all positive. My kids love them. Okay. I know that that's not true. Though teachers don't know. So how do I tell them that, right? How do I do that? So that leads us into masks. So I know and you don't know. So I know that I cry when I'm mad. I don't necessarily cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm mad. And then you think I'm sad and then I get more mad and then I cry more. Because I am external, physically external in anger. So I want to say bad words and throw things and hit. But I'm a behavior consultant, so I don't do any of those things. But it has to come out of my body. I'm not a internalizing of emotions. I'm an externalizer of emotions. So it comes out in my face, comes out in my eyeballs and tears. I know that I want to be liked. I like to be liked. And when people don't like me, you can tell me 10 stories, 9 of them being about people who talk positively about me and what I'm doing is working and that they love me. And then you tell me one negative story and that's the only one I can think of. I can't get my head out of that place. And it's so sad. I don't like confrontation, although I have to have it a lot, especially with the stance I take on behavior. I won't back down when kids are involved. I'm not able to. I probably get 10 to 15 awful strategies that someone finds on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, and then they like screenshot it and send it to me. And then I have to go to the person's account and leave a comment. I just have to, because there are kids involved and desk pets are not the thing. So cut it out. And I just have to do it. So, I know that some people don't know that that's going to happen. And I'll lay out all my everything right now is that popularity fuels me. So I want, when you're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this kid? I want you to go WWMD. What would Meg do? And then I want you to find me and I want you to ask me. I don't want to be popular like Angelina Jolie. I don't know. I always, when I tell the story, I always choose her. I don't even know why. Is she like, I don't even know if people know who she is anymore. But I don't want to be that popular. I want it to be that you can, you think of me and say WWMD and then you find me, or you use the strategies that I've talked about in social media or in workshops. So then there's potential, which is what I don't know and you don't know. And we can't really talk about that because it hasn't happened yet. But that's part of, right? I don't know and you don't know. And now, right. And then it's going to go through, okay, so who's the first to know it? Is it you? Then it's a blind spot to me. Is it me? Then it's a mask to you. And we need to find a way to connect in relationships as adults or as kids and adults to get to arena. Right? We got to get to the point where that kid can speak up and say, this makes me feel crummy and I do not like it. And so now I know and you know, and now I have the responsibility to do something about it. I'm so sad because I wonder in that school where this little girl said that, if they have to do that strategy. So a lot of times it's mandatory. And I hope that we figured that out for that little girl. I'm going to have to ask because I hope it's not mandatory for them. So this is the part I think that hits it all home. We have 20 minutes. And I'm actually going to try to leave time for questions. We'll see how that goes. Sometimes I talk. Last time I did finding a place for your emotions, and it went for an hour and a half. So don't get too excited. I'm supposed to ask for questions. I know I am, and I just get so excited about myself that. So this is what relationship models look like. There's a unidirectional one, and there's a transactional or transformational one. So we want to stay on the transformational side or the transactional side, not on the unidirectional side. We're going to start at unidirectional. And this is the one we do not want to do. It is the one that if you use any sort of ticket, token, sticker, point, fear-based system, you are in this one. So when people are like, no, I have good relationships with my kids, they like it. That's not true because you're in the wrong side. You're supposed to be on the right side, not the left side. So in a unidirectional relationship, I see you as a mechanic. I see relationships as a mechanic. So I see you as broken and I have to fix you. How many people want to be in that relationship? Anyone? Where I'm the broken person and you'd like to fix me? Or I'm an empty vessel and you're just going to stuff a whole bunch of stuff inside my head and anything I say goes? We don't want that. And so it is through coercion that we do this. Coercion meaning what? I'm going to give you something or take something away to get you to do what I want. So I was in a school and I'm going to have to write this down. So I was in a school and there was a boy and I talked to the teachers. And right, everybody wants me to come in and sprinkle pixie dust and excuse me, make everything okay. That's not the way it works. Because none of my strategies are fun, fast, and easy. Because none of them, fun, fast, and easy strategies end in shame, guilt, and embarrassment. And we absolutely cannot do that. So this little boy was in a circle time for 39 minutes. That's too long. He was 4 years old. I'm 43 and I almost poked my eyeballs out at 39 minutes, 40 minutes. 40 minutes. If anybody has ever been in childcare or teaching in childcare in a preschool with young kids or any morning meetings, don't make it 39 minutes because those kids are like picking their nose and wiping it on other kids by the time 20 minutes comes around. It's also not, a 4-year-old has an attention span of on average of 9 minutes. So it's already 4 times too long for this little guy. And he's like this. All over the place, everywhere. He's everywhere. And I said, well, you're going to have to do all these things, right? I sent him my movement workshop. I did all this stuff. And it wasn't fast enough for them. So they needed me to come back in to give more strategies. Well, the way it works is if you call me back in, you have to pay me again. That's my job. And they couldn't afford it. And I said, bummer, if you find funds or get a grant, I would love to come back in and help you. And I wrote down all my strategies so they could put it in their cabinet and WWMD, what would Meg do? But then their school was also attached to a public school. So the typical school psychologist behavior person came in, and what did she make? Hold on, I'm gonna draw it right now. Sorry, I should have drawn it before. Hold on, wait for it. It's gonna be so awesome. You guys aren't even gonna believe it. He got a piece of paper and it was cut out. And every time he sat for 2 minutes, he got a star. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. What's the problem? What did I say the average attention span of a 9-year-old, of a 4-year-old was? 9 minutes, right? What happens? She's already making it too long. And if it's a kid that can't pay attention, he's not on the average, right? An average means there's higher ones and then there's lower ones. He's obviously not on the higher end. That's why we're having a problem. So every time I saw him get a star one time, and he looked at the teacher like, the heck's that? He had no idea. He had no idea why he got it. I'd be terrible. That means I have to stand there for 10 minutes. And every 2 minutes give a sticker. I promise you, I'm somewhere else by the second sticker. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's probably not what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Because I also have an attention focus problem. And so, but if he got all 10, do you know what he got? Oh, I can't wait. I was gonna bring it up and I forgot because I have squirrels that live, drunk squirrels that live in my head. This is what he got. I'll write it down because I think the suspense is awesome. Ready? He got 1 nerd, 1, not a box, a nerd. A bald, for a kid who moves too much, you got a bald piece of purple sugar. And nerd, you could put in your mouth, if you put one in your mouth and you like lose it and swallow it. Like, oh, I didn't even get to crunch it. You're like, you're trying to like cough it back up so you can like re-eat it. And I said, so what happens when the nerds don't work? What do you think he got? A jelly bean. He got a jelly bean. Well, once you introduce jelly beans, you can't go back to nerds. And so on, this was a Tuesday that I got this phone call. They had started on Friday and it was going beautifully. It was working and it was awesome. Wednesday, I got a phone call. Guess what happened? It wasn't working and he threw the jelly beans at people. And all the other kids were like, what the heck? I've been sitting here for the whole 39-minute circle time and I'm not getting a jelly bean. Right? Imagine going to a staff meeting and it's hard for you and you have all this stuff to keep you focused. And you have kids, and there are some people in the staff meeting that are focused and beautiful and wonderful. And they're getting donuts. And they get a donut and you don't. You're like, well, why? Or I get a donut because I'm trying to figure it out. And then those people like, you don't get a donut because you already know how to do that skill. So now I have to be bad at it to be good at it so I could get the prize. Right? That's what it teaches you. Oh, then I'll ruffle. And then you'll put me on a thing and then I can get the prize. It just doesn't. And then if he's 4, so I don't even think 4-year-olds could make that linear thought even happen. Crazy. So we are not using coercive measures. We're not taking away recess. We're not putting in timeout in childcare and preschools. You can't put in timeout except we make it pretty. It's timeout. It looks like a peace table or a reflection chair, or I saw a body break chair one time and I was like, you're supposed to sit in that chair to give your body a break. I was like, that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like you're going to beat me with that chair, that you're going to break my body with the chair. And it had an arrow and it was in the corner and it was wooden and rickety. And I was like, nope, that's like 1985 timeout right there. Just turn it around and then you'd like complete the whole timeout process. Jeez Louise. It was awful. Unidirectional relationships are adults and systems oriented. So I say what goes. You don't have a say. Sometimes it's systems oriented, meaning we use PBIS Class Dojo. Oh, the things I've heard in this school, and everybody has to use it. PBIS now is not only used with kids, but if the teachers do certain things, they get prizes. I was like, stop it. I want to poke my eyeballs out and stick them in my ear so I can't see or hear that stuff. What? And some people are gung ho, like, oh my gosh, I just got a $50 gift card to Amazon because I'm like, what? Messed up the self-worth of all the kids? Holy moly. So it can't be adults and systems oriented because why? First of all, it hurts relationships big time. Second of all, you can't do that because you have to share power and control with kids. If you take all the power and control, the relationship is disempowering. They're now stuck right on this 3rd level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and they can't get anywhere. So it can't be just, I'm in charge. This is my classroom. I make the rules. I don't even want to be in a work environment like that. Never mind a school environment like that. And the thing that's hard is if you're in a work environment like that, you can say, peace out. I'm out. I quit. I'm done. Right now, if you quit, you can get a job anywhere. You could even change professions and not really know anything about the other profession because everybody is hiring. What's the hard thing about with kids? Can they leave school? They can't just say peace out in 3rd grade and just not go. What do? They act out because it's not working for them. But then we just get stricter and hoard the power and try to make the prizes more enticing. And that's the wrong way. We're down the wrong path. We don't know maybe, but we're doing it wrong. So if you use the unidirectional side of relationships, you are decreasing trust and learning. Trust is essential for all relationships, all of them. It is the foundation of all relationships, trust. It takes a long time to earn. Quickly, you can mess it up like this, right? Just think if you're married to and you have a significant other, right? My husband and I have been together, 21 years. We trust each other implicitly. I trust him, do whatever, but it could go sour like that, right? I can think of things, and I'm sure you can too, that would go like this. So decreased trust and learning increases defensiveness and survival behavior. Increases defensiveness. Defensiveness can look physical, yeah, and survival behavior. So survival behavior can also look like hyperactivity. It could look like ADHD. It could also be physical. So if you have kids that are physical, we have to check the relationship. Are we on the unidirectional side? The outcome is emotional scars. So if we're on the unidirectional side, the outcome is emotional scars, which is the 4th level of deficiency needs, right? Self-worth and emotional scars is the same thing. So we're right in this unidirectional relationship. What happens? We get stuck and we can't get to need to know and understand, and we can't. So how do you change that, right? So you go on the other side. So the transactional, the transformational side of relationships is that we are gardeners and we're planting seeds, and we have to practice delayed gratification and time and patience. So when I taught kindergarten, I had some kids that were like really blowing it out of the water. I was like, whoa, look at you, you're doing it. You are rocking this. And the toddler teachers were like, I just want you to know, I planted that seed 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I was like, yeah, and now I'm seeing it. And they said, when that happens again, can you please come get me? And I want to do the dance also. I don't want you to be the only one doing the dance. I planted that seed years ago. So we have to cultivate, right? So we have to water and photosynthesis, right? So what does that mean? We have to share power and control. We have to give the kids a voice. We have to listen when they have a voice. When they speak up and we see it as aggressive, that's not helpful. We need to see it as assertive. They're trying to get their needs met. So we have to listen with open minds and open hearts for sure. And then we also have to fight that. I know it takes time and patience, but we got to do all this stuff. And okay, I get it. But you're not going to get to need to know and understand if you don't take care of those first 4 periwinkle needs. You're just not going to be able to. And you're just going to keep, right? It's like that glass ceiling. You're just going to keep doing this. And you're not, right? How does it go like this? You have to be on transformational or transactional side. We have to be influential. We are the role models for kids. We are. We have to be the ones that kids are like, yes, you're my girl or you're my guy. And I am going to do what you're doing. Except if you put a kid in a bad kid bubble, I've seen that so many times. I've heard children use things and you're like, that is an adult saying. Some adult somewhere said that. They caught on to it. Now they're using it. And it's hurtful, right? So we have to be influential. And on this side, it's child-oriented, which means kids can and do say things or ask for help. And we have to, as best we can, listen and do what they say. So I had a kid one time that was on this first and then, like first you do this, then you do this, first, then you do this, then you do this. And you got to earn prizes, which not prizes, but special things he didn't get to pick out. And he didn't get to make the first then. And I was like, take all of the things off. Fine. Ask him 5 things he would like to do to earn, to do as a break, not to earn, but to do as a break. And then you're going to print those out. And she's like, then put him back on the Velcro train. No, nope. You're going to have him do it. He's going to make the train. Just let him know that if you do all the breaks first, then you have to do all the work second. If you do all the work first, you might not get to the breaks. He had not been successful more than 2 days in a row ever. And when he picked and he had the power and it was child oriented, that I call it a Velcro train, the schedule. There were 16 days left to school. My goal was 3 days because he had never been successful for 3 days. I'm not going to go to 16. That's unheard of. Guess what, guys? Guess what I made? All the way to 16. I was like, and I said that was only part 1. There's going to be a part 2 and part 3 and part 4, right? We got to move down that continuum. Okay, first we're going to adjust the schedule. And that took him all the way through. And I saw the teacher in a restaurant, and she came up to me and she's like, hi, do you remember me? I was like, yes, you have my favorite story ever. And she's like, I said, how is he? She said, wonderful. That one thing changed it enough so he could learn the other strategies. And I flipped it from adult oriented to child oriented. She would come in and he would go, and she's like, what? She goes, he fired me on day 7. On day 8, I got called down because he was having a hard time with math. So he went over to her and went like this and took math. So he had math here, which he was supposed to be doing, and swings here. He took them both off and switched them. And then looked at her and went, and she went, took his hand, went out, swung. She goes, I gave him an extra 5 minutes. I didn't even tell him. I just, right? And then and in my head, I'm thinking, oh gosh, I hope he goes back in. I really hope he goes back in to do math. He went, okay, I'm ready for math now. Went back in and did math. She was like, she said I had to leave the classroom so fast because I was crying, and little kids have a hard time when adults cry because they're happy. And she's like, it was just magnificent and awesome. It was so great. So we want them to be child oriented. So a lot of people say, what do I do? Ask the kid if they're not 2 or 3, if they're 7 or 15, you know, bud, I am having a hard time figuring out what to do. And you know what? I'm kind of silly because I didn't even ask you what would work for you. That's silly of me, right? I can't believe I didn't even think to do that. And my mom thinks it's funny. I go in and I'm not usually the first behavior person in, because the first behavior person in does traditional earning stuff. And when that doesn't work, I get called in. And when I ask the kid, my mom's like, so you go in and they pay you to ask the child. The child tells you the strategies and you implement them. Yeah. She was like, that's ridiculous. I was like, well, don't tell people. So far, I've made a profession out of it. So all of you, don't tell anyone. Hopefully this goes worldwide and then everybody knows. And then everybody does what I say. And then I don't know what I'd switch jobs. I would be I don't know, mermaid. Can I be a mermaid? Is that a profession that pays money? Maybe. So in this one, we increase trusted learning instead of decrease it, right? We want to increase trust in learning, right? So you get to need to know and understand. Ooh. We decrease survival behavior and defensiveness, and the outcome is self-acceptance, right? So you move past this one. You move past self-esteem and you get to growth needs, all because you've flipped the way you've entered relationships, that you were no longer a mechanic, but you were a gardener. Oh my gosh, I have 1 minute. I might make it, guys. Sometimes I think sometimes I do a whole workshop and I don't leave the first page, just so you know. I think many of you have seen that workshop. I'm like, okay, guys, we're all done. Sorry I didn't get to any of the PowerPoints. So fear-based strategies can hurt relationships. And I think I've been very open about how they hurt relationships. And people say, I don't know, I'm not convinced. So what happens if I said this? What if I gave you tickets? I'm going to read it. What if I give you tickets for having your volume off and your camera on? So some of you aren't getting tickets. Know that I'm just using this as an example. I don't care either way. I don't want people to feel hurt or be like, oh, did you want to see my face? No, because maybe some of you are sleeping. I don't know. Or drinking. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Now you think you did a fabulous job, but I give you no tickets. You were like, or you didn't understand the rules, or you needed your camera off because your kids, or your volume off because the kids are running around, and you need your camera off because you feel like you look terrible. I dressed up for you guys. See, I put my hair up and I put on a shirt, and I'm wearing leggings, so you can't really tell. And so how is our relationship? If I did that, what if I started the workshop like that? You have to have your camera on, your volume off. But now someone turns off their camera because they have to go to the bathroom, because they have to take a phone call, because their son comes in or daughter comes in, because they are so hungry because they haven't eaten dinner, they can't take it any longer. And what happens? No tickets for you guys. And everybody that earns a ticket gets my masterclass for free. And you're like, what? How many people want to tell me an excuse? Like, well, but right? And it's so, and are you coming back? Anybody coming back to my workshops? If that happens? If you don't get a ticket, are you coming back? Oh, I hope I'm really good next time so I get a ticket. No, you're probably saying bad words to me in your head and you're beep off, right? You're like, I'm not. And then you start telling other people like, she's hurtful. You can't trust her. I did so good in her workshop, and it's really hurtful. Fear-based strategies are really hurtful, but they especially hurt relationships. If we can flip that relationship from unidirectional to transformational or transactional, then that is what we need to do, right? That's one piece of doing it. So when people say, I can't do that because I'm a specials teacher, yeah, you can. Because your classroom can be child-oriented. Your classroom can increase trust in learning, decrease defensiveness and survival behavior. You are shouting out self-acceptance all over the place. You're planting seeds and knowing that it's not, right? I always say, slow it down, don't rainbow around. I'm not giving you a strategy that's going to do this, ever, almost ever. It's this. So you have to figure out how to stay transformational or transactional in the specials, even though you see the kids a small amount of time, or the kids are really young, or the kids are having a hard time, or maybe there's trauma in the background, right? This is trauma responsive for sure. Does anybody and have any questions? Oh, someone said candy? Question mark? Sad face. Yep, candy. Why are we giving kids candy? Isn't that from like 1972? Can we be done with candy? Still happens. Anybody have any questions or comments or, I don't know, something? No?
I have a question.
Yeah, Hannah, go ahead.
So I was wondering if you have any advice for implementing these practices in a school where there is a school-wide model that doesn't really allow for these practices, like as an individual teacher, or tips for like advocating to leadership.
Yes. So email or DM me, because I have the research that you would present to say these strategies are terrible. I also have some videos that would tell you. So what I would say is, I know you would never want me to do any sort of system that physically hurts a child, right? Everybody's out for that. But I'm also not going to do a system that is emotionally hurtful for children. And I have all this research that proves it's emotionally hurtful. And I'm not sure I can do that, because I want self-acceptance, not emotional scars. These two books are great too. Alfie Kohn, I Want to Be His Best Friend. Punished by Rewards, amazing and awesome. Drive by Daniel Pink. This one talks about the business, but it also, right, if you're not going to use it for adults, you won't use it for kids, right? I always say that. This one is like in the workplace, but it's very parallel to education. He has a little part on education, but I think it's great to see that even adults don't do it. Like all those things, like if you sell, Hannah, if you sell this much, you get to go to Disney World. That stuff doesn't really work. Just for that a little bit amount of time, you go to Disney World and what happens? Back to the old stuff. So the hard thing is that my other question is, whoever implemented that model and told you, Hannah, that you have to use it, how many behavior classes did they take? Do they know about unidirectional models and transformational models? Do they know about love languages and environments and first hour needs and Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Because if they knew any of that or all of that, they would not use that strategy. So I've also said how to tell students that you're not using it in your classroom. And my match game is a great alternative. But if you email me or DM me, I can talk about all of that stuff, just because I don't want to hold people up, but I really look forward to talking to you, because I get really pumped up about this stuff. Because Hannah, do you think you could give me a thumbs up? A smart, intelligent woman, yes? With empathy and is loving and caring. You think you're a good teacher? Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yes. So why can't you make the decision what your classroom management strategy looks like? I don't understand. But they're using a unidirectional model on you. And they want you to use a unidirectional model on the kids. And it feels gross, right? Does it feel gross? Yeah, it feels disgusting. And I feel it gross for you. Just so you know. It makes me so bonkers, because this stuff came out in the 80s. And it's been what, 41 years. It doesn't work. I don't know why we're still doing it. And Class Dojo was made, are you ready? Class Dojo was designed, get ready, by a business executive and a video game designer. And nobody else. No behavior person, no teacher, no behavior psychologist, no psychologist, nothing. And so they don't, and even the clip down system guy doesn't have any research to support his. And then he says his research that he uses is that positive strategies are better than negative strategies. And I was like, oh, you just canceled your own out, because yours is negative. He meant it to be positive. It's not, right? We all know what the clip down system is, this one. Hold on, I have it right here. Oh, sorry, I know it's time. If you guys have to go, you can. This one. When you get a clip, right now I get clipped down to warning all the time because I talk too much, right? but the guy, Rick Morris, who invented this, I think meant for it to be successful and positive. It's not. And he says you don't want to use any strategies that are negative. He's quoted on saying that. And I was like, oh, that includes yours then. Because it can't be public, right? You can't, no behavior strategy should be public because of shame, guilt, and embarrassment. And if you know anything about Brene Brown, she is a shame and vulnerability researcher, and shame lasts your whole life. And people who have been shamed behavior-wise can tell you all sorts of stories. They can tell you where they were, what they were wearing, how they felt, that they still carry that today. And I know Hannah and the rest of you don't want to be responsible for that. Right? When people think of me as a kindergarten teacher, they're probably going to think, whoa, she was sparkly and loud, but I hope they think of it in love. I hope nobody ever thinks of me in fear. Maybe some of them did, because I didn't know then what I know now, which is unfortunate. And so I probably stressed a lot of those little kiddos out. Boo. Anybody else have questions? I can't wait to talk to you, Hannah. So excited. Where do you live? Close to me? I'll come to your school.
Where are you based?
Hampton, New Hampshire.
I'm in Boston, so
I'm coming to your school. Oh my gosh, I'm doing it. Coming up Monday. Imagine I show up and they're like, Hannah, there's somebody for you in the office, which you can't do now with COVID, right? And you come down and it's me. Oh, that makes me the happiest person that I could think that might happen.
In your rainbow unicorn outfit, please.
Oh, yes, my rainbow unicorn outfit. Have you seen that outfit? I have a whole sparkly unitard and a unicorn hat and a unicorn backpack. Teaching kids to use masks in school successfully. Yeah, oh my gosh, Leanne, imagine. That'd be awesome. Anybody else have any more questions? I was like playing with wearing it tonight, but it gets hot. And the sparkles are all over my house every time I put it on. They're everywhere. My dog licks them and then he poops them out. So it's a big thing. So I have to be very mindful when I wear it. Anyone else? If you do have questions, make sure you can find me right at meg@megthompson.com. Make sure Meg has 2 G's. I don't know where meg@megthompson.com with 1 G takes you. I have no idea. Put it in the, were you telling me to put it in the chats, Leanne?
No, I was just curious. I couldn't find a way to unmute my computer. If you're working with an admin team or in a system that is unidirectional,
yeah,
how do you not how do you not deal with that, or kind of be like, hey, what happens if we did this instead? Because I mean, kind of by definition, it seems like the unidirectional model doesn't love the what if we did this instead kind of
no, they don't like it, but so you can't. So I have a lot of people that hear what I have to say and they're like, you know what, I'm going tomorrow and I'm going to talk to my principal. And then the principal, I almost guarantee you, will say, nope, you have to do this. So sorry, Sally. Too bad, so sad. And then we back down. That's why you go in with the research. It'd be best if Hannah, if you go in with somebody else that doesn't like it. And then sometimes you have to back down because you have to keep your job because people have to pay bills. And I get that. But then, right, if I was in that situation, I'd close the door and do what I knew was healthy for kids. And then if you really know, so I have a lot of teachers working with me now that are using the language I'm giving them and using the strategies I'm giving them, and they are working. So then how does the administration say you can't do it when it's working and the kids like it and you've asked the kids and wait, I'm doing what's good for kids and you're not going to be okay with that? And if you read just alone, if you read Alfie Kohn's Punished by Rewards, I don't know how you would still be able to do those. I would buy that book and drive and give it to the administrator. And then I have a Google document that has over 70 articles that talks about the voices of teachers and kids and neurodivergent thinkers and how awful these are for kids and how sad it is for adults. I don't know how you would read any of that and be like, you know what, we're still doing it. But I heard it the other day, Leanne. Somebody said, We just took a workshop that was mandated by the district about trauma. And they steered us clear of the clip systems, the points, the tokens, the tickets, and the stickers. And then right after, we got an email from our principal that said, well, it works, so you're still doing it. Even though they just took a trauma-informed care workshop that said, don't do those things, they're awful. And then the principal still said, do it. Then I'm like, I'd be in every classroom. Come on, guys, we're going to talk to him. But I also have the temperament that's comfortable with that. So now I'm trying to give people the words and the strategy so they can be comfortable with that. Some people are like, oh, I just can't be that loud. And I was like, I know.
Right. It's just, it seems like it's the kind of thing that it would be hard, like with students, but it would also be hard as a professional adult in that situation.
Yes, yes. And I don't want anybody losing their job. I don't want anybody being like, I was so loud and now I'm unemployed. And I was like, well, you know what? You could get a job at another school in a half a second. I mean, if you're going to be unemployed now because you're too loud, at least you get to, jobs aren't hard to find now. So I don't know. I don't want anybody to get fired for being too loud, but I also don't want kids to, their self-worth to be busted. That's not okay. And I'm sad that adults think it's okay. And we try to like keep justifying it over and over and over again. And the minute you get on the train, you justify it to the point where we have to earn mask breaks. Did you see that the other day? No. So does anybody else have, just so you know, this is recorded. So I will have the recorded version, but my, so I don't know how to do that. I have a fancy website guy that does it, and it takes him a couple days. So you will not get the certificate, right? There's a certificate, and you will not get, I always send the recorded version just because I didn't take attendance, because that takes time and my squirrels don't really care if you came, needed the recorded or whatever. So I just give you the recorded one so you can listen to it over and over and over. And so you can get the language or take more notes or whatever you have to do. I'm also going to give you a certificate that is blank. It's signed. You have to fill it out. You can put an hour and 15 minutes now because we're at 8:15. So you get, woohoo! You earned 15 minutes. Way to go, girls or boys. I don't even know if there's boys here. I can only see 8 of you. But it will probably be closer to Monday. So don't get concerned that I forgot, because if you know me well, you might think, oh, Meg spaced that one. That squirrel went back on the hammock and took a little rest. Because I give it to everybody. And I want to make sure everybody has the recorded version. So it takes a couple days. Well, guys, this was so fun. I want you all to be in my living room, snuggle you. I could drive to some of you and snuggle you. I passed Sue and Christine today. I blew you kisses, by the way. I drove by the school and I just went, hi, guys. I didn't stop in because I would, but it's Corona. And then I don't know if I'm right. I don't want to get everybody nervous. And when you pull in, and if you were in a preschool or childcare and you pull in, everybody thinks you're the state coming to do an inspection, and they get really bonkers. They're like, oh my gosh, the state's here. And then I come out of my car, they're like, oh no, it's just Meg, never mind. I scare everyone. Okay, so if there's no more questions, I put in the chats, meg@megthompson.com, and my IG is Meg Thompson Behavior. And you can find me. Tell everybody all the things you know. The more people that know, the more people can be loud. And we'll figure this out, guys. We're gonna stop this baloney, I tell you. Okay, is everybody good? Yeah, Kathy, yeah, woo, woohoo, yeah, I love you too. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys all go because I went over, big surprise. I did include questions just so everybody remembers. And I will see you all, I don't know, oh, next month I'm either doing my challenging behavior one or that's pretend. Like, so that's pretend looks like, but all my kids love it. Nope, that's pretend. But I only use it positive. Nope, that's pretend. So I might do that's pretend. And it's kind of a feisty one. No. Or challenging behaviors, I'm not sure. So I'm going to ask people what they want to know, and then I'm going to talk about it. So let me know what you're looking for. Okay, guys. I love you all and thank you for being here. This is always so embarrassing for me because I can never figure out how to end. I'm always the last one to end. Okay, I'm leaving. Bye, everyone. Happy Friday tomorrow. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do it. Bye. Oh, see, it went away. I can't talk when I do it. Okay. It won't come up. Oh my goodness. See, the last one. Stop share.